Hello, everyone. Are you excited?
Welcome to PH Tech Week 2021.
Hello, guys.
Welcome, everyone.
How is everyone doing? Are you guys excited for the coming events this week?
Right, so this will be a good opportunity for our developers this afternoon because today we're going to talk about how to prepare for an interview and how to present yourself as a world-class developer.
We're going to give you interview preparation tips for tech, digital marketing, design and creatives, and admin roles.
That's right. So joining us today are talent acquisition specialists of Filta. So we have here Chanel, Jeff.
Hi, everyone.
Erica.
Hey, guys.
And Ali.
Hello. Happy Monday, guys.
But first, let us tell you who or what is Filta.
Yes, Francis. So Filta specializes in e-commerce, digital marketing agencies looking for great talent in the Philippines. We're always on the hunt for great Filipinos to showcase what we have to offer. We work with great global brands from Australia, US, UK, and Canada.
Feel free to check out filtaglobal.com/careers to see the job opportunities that we have for you. We're hiring a lot of developers at the moment, like front end, back end, full stack, Shopify developers, and more.
If you're applying for a job, then this event is perfect for you. Francis and I will talk about how to make a good resume, answering common questions, and we'll give you tips on what to do should a company require you to take a technical test. Are you guys excited? Let us know in the comments.
Okay, so we have here Narissa, Acha, Jillian. Hi, guys. We have here Jenica, Jerwin. Hello.
Hello, guys. Welcome to PH Tech Week. So I think, guys, we should start.
Okay, so let me ask you, Iris, what do you think a good resume looks like?
I think for one, it should look clean. In everything a recruiter or hiring manager needs to know should be there.
That's right. So a good resume should be comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
It should include the summary of your skills and experiences, a list of your achievements or what you've contributed to the companies you've worked with. You can even include your projects and links to your portfolio or website.
But guys, better if you could fit that on 1 to 2 pages.
1 page? So how is that possible, Iris?
You see, Francis, a lot of applicants or candidates don't realize that they include irrelevant information in their resumes, making it hard for us recruiters to understand their profiles.
Okay, so tell us more about what shouldn't be included in our resume.
That's a good statement, Francis. Anyway, I noticed this a lot, Francis. There are those include their personal information, like their age, birthday, civil status, religion, family members, and even their government numbers. For applicants out there, I guarantee you there's no need to put that in your resume.
I think another thing, Iris, is that for our experienced developers, they should no longer include seminars they've attended more than 5 years ago or training that are not relevant to the job. So guys, you may include certifications that are valid and or trainings you had that are relevant to the position you're applying for. What do you think, Iris?
Yep, I totally agree. Here's another one thought of pictures.
What about pictures, Iris?
Adding your photo is not necessary, but if you really want to add your photo, please make sure you look professional.
Yeah, definitely. Another tip I got is that if you're not a recent graduate, it's better not to use your grad photo because at first glance, a recruiter might think you're a fresher. And of course, a grad photo is not recent. So if you're going to put in your photo, make sure you use a recent one.
To our viewers, do you have tips on how to make a great resume? Let us know in the comments. Okay, so now Francis, we already covered good resumes. What's next? What's next after that?
Okay, so because you have a good resume, you might be invited for an interview. Now, let's talk about how to answer common interview questions. Okay, Ira, so let's say I'm an interviewer and you're the
Mm-hmm.
applicant. I
Mm-hmm.
ask you, tell me something about yourself. So, how do you go about answering that?
Well, that's the common question. I could answer it with a short summary of my professional background. I would then add something a bit more personal about myself to help you, the interviewer, get to know me as a person.
Can you give me an example, Iris?
So, for example, I have been working as a recruiter for 20 years. I started my career hiring teachers and hotel staff. Then I moved on to becoming a technical recruiter when I transferred to, for example, ABCD company. I have worked on 300 projects with German and US clients in the past 4 years. And I've contributed to these companies by growing their headcount and increasing their revenue. I think I'm going to add, it's my personal information. I'm also a mom to my 1-year-old daughter, Aurora. When I'm not working, I like to cook and bake, travel with my family. How's that, Francis?
That's perfect, Iris. So, with that, I get to know your background, what you've
Mm-hmm.
accomplished, and what you do outside work. Another thing they ask on interviews are situational or behavioral questions.
Correct. So, how would you answer that, Francis?
I guess the best way to answer that is by using the STAR format. First is you give the situation and then tell us the task that you needed to accomplish. What were the actions that you took and what was the result?
Well, that makes sense. By following the STAR format, you are sure that you give a very comprehensive or specific answer to the question asked.
Yeah, so how about a common technical question, Iris? Or something that interviewers ask developers?
I think this appears to a lot of our interviews with clients. Another one is when the interviewer asks you to tell them about your projects.
And how should you answer that, Iris?
You may use your most recent project or the project you're most proud of as an example. Tell the interviewer when the project is about, what you've personally contributed to the project, and tools and tech stack you use in making that project. Make sure you use I statements than we statements.
Yep, because that shows that it is you who did it and it highlights your skills and achievements. Because when you say we, the interviewer wouldn't really know if you really contributed to that project.
That's right, Francis. I think another one we need to cover is a technical test. It's very common to our developers. So, have you came across any developers that doesn't want to take the coding test, Francis?
Actually, a lot, Iris. So let's say they'll tell you during the interview that they will do it
Hmm.
at a certain time, but then when you follow up or ask for updates, they'll no longer respond to you.
So they ghosted you, in short.
Yes, yes, that happens a lot, Iris.
Okay, so that is awful. I think a simple message like, I can't do it, I need an extension, or I don't have the bandwidth to do it will do. So the recruiter will not expect something from you. Don't overcommit and underdeliver. You see, guys, when you are working with Western companies, punctuality, especially on submitting projects, are important.
Yes, I totally agree. So especially when you're working with agencies who has tight deadlines, you need when you need extensions, better yet communicate it before the deadline is given.
That makes sense. What other experiences do you have, Francis?
Okay, so another thing is some developers doesn't follow instructions. I mean, they have set of codes that give results, But
Mm-hmm.
when you render it, it doesn't give them the exact output that the system instructed them in the first place.
Oh, it's like asking them to do 4 columns, but they made 10. That's a really passionate developer.
I think it's also important that developers know that the system can detect any plagiarism or copy.
Mhm. Thanks for that, Francis. So I guess that concludes our tips for today. If you want to know more about us, Francis, how can they see us, or are we all over social media?
Yes, we have a lot. We have Facebook groups, Filipino
Mhm.
front-end developers. Talk to us and ask us anything. We're also on LinkedIn. You can follow us at linkedin.com/showcase/filter-careers.
Thanks for that, Francis. Guys, stay tuned. We have a lot of topics for you in the next few minutes. We also have Q&A at the end of this, so don't go away.
Okay, Ira, so how about we welcome our next presenter?
It's Jeff, right? Jeff, are you ready?
Hi, everyone. Again,
Hi,
welcome
Jeff.
to this very exciting week, PH Tech Week 2021. And from my end, I'll be presenting or I'll be discussing some tips and observations that we have seen or I have noticed for CVs that we go through. As mentioned by Iris and Francis earlier, there are a lot of ways to improve your profile and to make them stand out. So just from my end, again, I am a talent acquisition specialist. I handle digital marketing roles. And for me, my tips are the following. So whenever we go through and we calibrate with our candidates or with our clients rather, there are always certain must-haves that they ask for. So just in order for them to be aware of your highlights or for your set of skills, do include them in your profile. And when you do describe yourself or when you do include it in your CV, do not, and I repeat, do not copy paste your current job description and just list it in your current stint with your company. One good example for this would be to cite figures and contributions to your company or department. You may have state there, for example, you led the team in running an awareness campaign in Facebook that increased the daily website visits by 15% in a span of 2 months. So it's very important that you include numbers, figures, and timelines. You might also, and a good example for that as well would be managed weekly Facebook Live events with an average of 1,000 viewers or 2,000 viewers, just for them to have an idea on what platforms you're currently using, how often are you using them, and also the reach that you are providing with your clients. Again, it varies per role or per company that you apply to. Next tip is your CV up to date? So there are times when you have not updated your CV in a long time. Obviously, you may have been in a company for more than 2 years, more than 3 years, and it's a good thing. But don't worry, it happens. So more often than you think. Having so many templates already available in Canva or in other platforms, we, talent acquisition specialists, can also tell when you created your CV based on the template that you used. So one thing to keep in mind is to keep your career flow clean and organized. Avoid not having a clear chronological flow. If you were with a company for a number of years, indicate your movement within that company to highlight your career progression and also the speed of your promotion. So this is important because we would want to know, like in a span of 5 years, when you progress from assistant to a manager to a senior manager to a head, even if it's within just one company. That would allow us to have an idea on your progression. So lastly, when applying for a role, be transparent. If you are already unemployed, by indicating the end month of your last day. So lastly, for concise and tight, saying more with less is key. It's very important. So as Iris and Francis mentioned earlier, try to keep it in 1 to 2 pages of your career narrative. Make it to a point to state brief summaries and not essays. In your bullet points, you can focus on your added set of skills, your key contributions with dates and timelines and milestones to have had you have had within that specific role. And a good example for this would be gained managerial experience by overseeing and creating KPIs for one graphic designer and one community manager. You can also state that you've handled 15 campaigns and fully optimizing 30,000 per month budget on PPCs. So from my end, those are the tips that I usually notice in CVs. Is there anything else that you have in the comment box before I give out a bonus tip? Any questions you would like to ask?
Hi, Jeff. So we have here one question from
Mm-hmm.
Jerwin. So what's
Hi,
the
Jerwin.
difference between a resume and a CV?
Well, it's a terminology. It's practically the same thing. A resume and a CV. There's not much difference to that. Yes, there's not much of a difference.
So do you have anything else to say, Jeff?
Yes. So for a bonus tip, in fact, like I said, I'm working on digital marketing roles, and on my end, it's all about being creative, being out of the box, thinking out of the square, being able to show your personality. So my bonus tip is express your personality or by the smallest details. Is the font that you're using the same font that they use in their collaterals? Or do you have the color scheme in your profile with a similar color scheme of their company? So these small things could actually make your profile stand out more when you do your applications or when you do submit your profile to these clients or to these companies. So there you go. Again, your CV is your initial introduction before we give you a call or an interview. Having said that, if you have delivered a well-made CV, it also allows us and your employer to have an idea of who you are. Hence, meeting you will be like meeting an old friend. So that's it for me. Again, my name is Jeff, and I'm a talent acquisition specialist handling digital marketing roles.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. I think it's
You.
very important for us, especially our us recruiters, that we see like an exceptional CV because we are
Mhm.
looking to a lot of CV every day and we have a short attention span.
Yes, that's right.
Iris, Francis, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jeff.
So our next speaker is, I guess, it's Erica. So she's gonna talk about graphic design. She's handling those requirements. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Erica.
Hello, beautiful ladies of talent acquisition. Thank you so much for having me today. All right. So, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Monday to you. We're so happy that you're joining us this afternoon for for another fun talk. So, for me, let me just introduce myself again. My name is Erica. I'm a talent acquisition specialist for Filta, and I currently handle all design and creatives requisition for the company. So, in other words, I'm always on the hunt to find the best Filipino talent when it comes to design and creatives. So for this afternoon, I will give you some tips. We will talk about how to customize your portfolio for designers for international clients. Okay, so earlier my colleagues Iris, Francis, and Jeff already talked to you about how you can customize your resume, make it pretty, make it more presentable to the international hiring managers. But as a designer, there is still one more thing that you have to always remember that should always be updated, should always present your best works, and that is your portfolio. Before I go to my topics, I just want you to ponder upon this question. Why do you always have to present a great portfolio? Think of it this way. As a designer, you are an artist. Let's say a singer perhaps. So as a singer, you always want to always present your best works only. Okay, that is why when you build a portfolio, the first tip that I have is for you to choose a theme. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you want it to be minimalistic, that's fine. If you want to be full of colors, so vibrant, that's fine. If you want it to be futuristic, modern, sleek, that's also fine. As long as you make your portfolio consistent from cover to cover, from start to finish. May it be in a PDF format or a online portfolio like in Webflow or for social media sharing sites like Behance or Dribble. What's important is you choose a theme and stick with your chosen theme. Okay, because that's one of the first things that we as hiring managers or recruiters notice when we view your portfolio. Second tip, customize depending on your target employer or a client. Just because you are a designer doesn't mean that you just have to put whatever work you have there in your portfolio. For example, let's say you are a Shopify designer. So of course, as a Shopify designer, you want to highlight your best works when it comes to designing e-commerce websites. You have print design, you have graphic design, you have web design. It's all right if you have some of your works for those areas, but of course, we want to see 90% of your work focused with the job that you are trying to get, which is a Shopify designer. So of course, you want to put your best works there when it comes to designing the e-commerce websites, right? Next, showcase your best works. As I've mentioned, you don't have to put everything. The best um, the, the, the best number of works that you have to put on your portfolio would be around 8 to 10 designs. Why is that? Because hiring managers have very short, actually, people in general have very short attention span. So you want to get noticed from the first few seconds that they view your portfolio. Okay, you want to grab their attention. You can probably put some effects on your page, or you could play around with the theme, but again, you have to be consistent with that. But what's important is you curate the best works that you have, because that's what you have to show. Your strength as a designer. Where are you good at? Is it web designing? Put at least 8 to 10 of your best works there. Are you good as a digital designer or as a graphic designer? Put it there. Are you more into print? Put it there. So as long as you know what you want and the type of client or type of company that you want to attract, customize it based on what you need. Okay, your backbone. Remember this: your backbone as a designer is your portfolio. If you want your future employers or future clients to see you as a capable, as a competent, as a confident designer, then you have to show them your best works. And for you to be able to do that is for you to customize your portfolio. And just like Jeff, I also have a bonus tip for you. Okay, so you have already updated your resume, you have updated your portfolio. It's also very important that you prepare yourself when it comes to being confident in front of your international employers. Okay, so preparation is the key. So if you guys have any questions for me, please don't be shy. This is the best time for you to put it in the comment section so that I could answer it and give you some more tips and tricks to becoming the best designer that you can be.
Hi, Erica. Thank you for your talk. That is very insightful.
Thank you for having me.
So,
Okay.
are you ready to answer some questions?
Yes, yes, yes. I hope you learned a thing or two for my very short presentation.
Mhm. So, we have here a question from Andrew. Would you include work experience that's less than a year?
I, I think that question was for the earlier speakers, but
Oh, sorry. Mm-hmm.
Andrew, if you are a designer, I would suggest that in your resume, it's okay to put your experience if it's less than a year, as long as
Mm-hmm.
when you present yourself to the interviewer, you would be able to justify the reason why you were only employed for that certain period of months. Okay.
Thank you for that, Erica.
Okay. So, do we have any other questions? I forgot to let me just add while we're looking for some
Mm-hmm.
comments. I forgot to mention earlier that it's also very critical for our designers out there to always double triple check if your links are working before sending them to your potential employers, because of course we don't want to waste their time viewing the link and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to. We're actually avoiding the back and forth of email requesting for access. So again, double or triple check your links if they're working before sending your resume.
Thank you, Erica, for your presentation. We'll get back to you later on, but we will be welcoming another speaker or speakers for this afternoon. May we call on Ali and Chanel?
Hi,
Hi,
Ali.
Ali.
Hello, hello guys.
Hi everyone. I hope everything's feeling okay,
Yep,
even
all
I
amidst
good.
hope
the
so.
very hot season right now in the Philippines. It's
It
very
is
hot
very
Yeah.
here.
hot right now. I do have my fan with me, but I'm looking
Me
forward to
too.
everyone writing down their questions, guys. So if you have any questions, just feel free to chat it on the chat box as I and Chanel go through some of the tips that we have prepared for you.
All right. Take it
Okay.
away, Ali and Chanel.
Mhm. All
Thanks.
right. Thank you so much for the introduction, Francis and Iris. So before we start, Ali, can you see Sonny's comment on the chat box? It says
Sorry,
there that
what does it say?
even in Baguio it's hot.
I
Can you
know.
imagine that?
I was looking at the heat index of different cities in Philippines, and some of them can reach as high as 46 degrees. So that's really hot. And
Yep. Oh no.
I think
Yep.
that's just a reminder. I mean, I think let's just take this opportunity to drink water, everyone. So if you have your bottle
Yep.
of water beside you, drink up. We're in for a long ride because we have 20
Yes.
minutes to go for our event.
Stay hydrated, everyone. That's the first tip, actually, right now. It's not related in any form of professionally, but stay hydrated, guys.
Yes, they need to be hydrated so that they don't faint during their interviews or whatsoever.
Actually, that's a very good point. You're related to our topic.
Thanks, Chanel.
All right. So, okay. Without further ado, we would just like to share tips, especially for those who are in the corporate roles, like in the administration, accounting, customer support. So actually, Ali and I, we are the ones in Filta that's actually recruiting
Yes.
for those roles. Right, Ali?
Uh-huh. So we're in
Yeah.
tandem all the time.
Yes, we are partners. Even in our FB lives, previously we are partners. Yeah, Ali. Okay. So for our first tip, so actually, our first tip, if you are a designer, if you are a developer, or as I've mentioned, if you work in corporate roles or just like in administration, accounting, customer support, you can really relate to this tips of ours. So number one is that making yourself stand out. So why is this important? Why how would we present ourselves to the interviewers, and how can we make ourselves stand out in compare to other candidates as well? So we will give you tips on how you make yourself stand out. All right.
Mhm.
So yep. So first, so how would one make himself or herself stand out from other candidates? So first, of course, for us, you do your research. Before your interview, you do your research about the company, your research about your client, your research about the role that you will be applying for. So of course, you will not be entering the interview unprepared. So of course, you would want to know about the company, about the company's industry, what are the products, what are the services that they are offering, what they are offering, and of course, what kind of clients, what kind of customers they are dealing with, so that of course it is for you as well, so that you have a better understanding, you have a better grasp of what you're making yourself enter. Because if ever that you're gonna be hired, you would want a company that of course you know that you will fit into. So
Yes.
that's the first step. Of course, you do your research as well. So same with your client. If ever whether you are a freelancer or for a full-time part-time job, you do your research with your client. uh you know it's better to know their market as well, to know what services they are offering and what things they are specializing with, so that of course when you do this, um as I've mentioned, you will be having a better understanding about the role as well. So I assure you, if you do your research before your interview, you're one step ahead of other candidates. Do you
That's
agree, Ali?
correct. Yes, I agree. And the added value in doing your research, aside from the fact that you already look like you've prepared well, it's gonna make you, or it's gonna give you a boost of self confidence, because you already have like an anticipated set of questions in your mind that if the interviewer asks those specific questions, then you feel ready because you know what you're gonna say and what you're gonna answer. And that's really important because one of the things that can make you stand out during the interview is your energy. So
Yep.
we are very much into that. So Chanel and I are very judgy when it comes to the interviews and the
Yeah.
candidates'
Take note of
energy. So
that.
we take note of those. Yeah, we see it in your body language when you're ready, when you're nervous, when you're
Mhm.
prepared. Sometimes it's not just about answering the questions; it's also about how you present yourself. So,
Yep.
doing your research would really help in your preparation and, of course, your confidence.
Mhm. I definitely agree with that. And I also agree with Sonny's comment that stalk their social media accounts. Really,
Yes.
really, and absolutely true. So before your interview, make sure that you check their social media site, the company, the client's social media account, so that of course you will know if they are really into social media, if they're actively interacting with netizens. And yep, so that thank you for that, Sunny. All right, so moving forward, so of course you do your research about the company and the client, and of course you prepare as well as you research or as you read through the job description about the role. Of course, yeah, upon entering the interview, of course, you would also want to know about the responsibilities, about their expectation of you, so that if ever that we recruiters, the interviewers will ask you, uh why is why are you interested to apply. Of course, you will know the answer because you have read the job description, and that you agree to yourself that you are the best fit for the role because you know the responsibilities and the expectation. So lastly, for this tip, so why is this important? Why is it important to do your research about the company or to know uh every details of the job description before your interview? So why would these things make yourself stand out in comparison to other candidates? Because I tell you, if you do these things in recruiters and you will leave a mark on the recruiters and the interviewers, because initially at the very start of the recruitment process, you already present yourself as a very passionate, very interested, that you would really love to work with the company or with that client. So it will really leave a mark on us. And of course, seeing that you have a really better understanding about the role or about the job that you will be applying for. So the initial thought would be like, if ever this person gets the job, he already knows or he already understand the role. So it's really a plus. It's really an advantage for you guys. So this is the reason why it is very important, and this will make you stand out about the interview for your interviews. So I hope that you are taking notes, guys, and of course do it real time. So yep, that's for our first tip. So moving forward to another point, to another tip, my partner Ali also has her tips on how to prepare for an interview. So Ali, take it away.
Sure, thank you, Chanel. So now that you know how to make yourself stand out upon the first time that you're gonna see your interviewer, we're gonna move on to how will you ace your interview. I think someone here in the comment section asked like how will you ace your interview, and Iris and Francis already covered that in their earlier segment, but I'm just going to reiterate some points that they mentioned, especially the key things that they really said that were important. So first, when you're preparing for technical and behavioral questions, you have to look back at your own experience. So, of course, you will have to do a little bit of reflection, like what have I done in my last company? Like what are the things that I'm proud of? What are the things that I would like my interviewer to know about me? Because at the end of it, what you want to do is not just to brag about the achievements that you've done, but you want the other person to understand what you actually did. And you can only do that by being very specific and communicative in how you answer. So Iris and Francis already mentioned this earlier, but the tip that we're going to discuss is the STAR method. So what's the STAR method? Would anyone want to take a wild guess? I think if anyone's listening earlier, you can chat it on the chat box to say what does STAR mean? What does it stand for? I'm gonna give you like 10 seconds only. After that, I'm gonna say it. Okay. So
Okay, go
10,
guys.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Someone's answering
2,
already,
1.
Ali.
Oh, someone's answering. E. E said it's situation, task, action, and results. Correct. Very
Oh,
good, E.
perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. And Andrew's trying to Google it right now, but too late, sir. Somebody's answered it already. But yeah, well done. Cesar also correctly answered it. Situation, task, action, and result. So what does that mean? Like, how do you answer a behavioral question of using the STAR method? Maybe we can do an example of how it's done. So Chanel's gonna ask me a question, a behavioral question, and then I'll try to answer it using the STAR method. So listen up.
Oh, okay, Ali. So I hope that you're ready for my question for you. Are you ready?
Whew. So I hope it's not that difficult, but okay.
Mhm. All right. So, Ali, can you tell me about a time when you overcome a difficult problem at work? Can you talk me through it?
Sure. All right. So, by the way, guys, when your interviewer asks you questions about this, about what's the most difficult thing or what are some difficult tasks that you've handled in your work, that's the reason why it's being asked is because they want to see how you respond to difficult situations. First, like how you manage your stress. Second, how you troubleshoot it. Of course, they're also going to look at your critical thinking abilities if that's what's required in your job, or maybe it's about your team management skills or cooperation with your team that made you solve the problem together. So there are a lot of aspects that behavioral questions touch upon. So it's really important to be specific. So anyway, going back to the question, so how I'm going to answer it using the STAR method is first, you have to look at the situation. So I have to say a specific situation in which I encountered a difficult time in. So for example, maybe for the sake of answering this question, I would say a situation would be last December 2020 when I had to fill all my roles in a very limited time. So we have a target date. So that's, let's say it's December 27. So by December 27, I should have already filled 5 of my existing roles. So that's difficult. So I'm already in answering that, in relaying that to the interviewer, I'm gonna say, you know what? Last December 2020, I had to fill 5 roles in just 2 weeks or in just 3 weeks, and for me, that's really difficult. So that's gonna paint a clear picture on the interviewer's mind of what difficult thing I actually encountered. And then that's the S. Now we move on to the T. The T is the task. So what are the specific things that I need to do in order to meet or in order to resolve this situation? So in order to meet five or in order to close my 5 roles in 3 weeks, I'm gonna tell the task that I have to do is first I have to continue to do due diligence when it comes to my recruitment activities like sourcing, proactively hunting candidates through different media, through different channels, scheduling so many interviews. If I have to meet them in their free time, I will. I have to adjust my schedule as well. So I will enumerate all the tasks that I did in order to meet the situation. And then as for the action, so I know it's difficult. It's The difference between task and action is that for a task, you have to imagine creating a checklist. Like, what are the things that you have to do? For example, number one, you have to go to this go to this let's say job board, and then check all the applications, and then screen all the candidates scheduled for interview. So you have to look at your task as to do, and then the actions are the things that you've actually done. So um, when you're saying your actions or what actions have you taken, you can say that after completing my tasks, I was able to, and then you share that I was able to schedule like 100 candidates per week. I was able to meet, let's say, 500 in just 3 weeks. So you can share results like that. And then finally, you go to the results. So the R here, I know it's a little bit similar again to the A, the action. That's because it's supposed to be seamless. Your answer is supposed to be very connected with each other, such that by the time you get to the R, you're just gonna say that the result is I was able to complete all my goals. I was able to meet all the five requirements by the end of the deadline. So by the end of December, I was able to meet the five requirements. So that's it. That's how you answer it. So you have to say your S, your T, your A, and your R. So maybe I just have to deliver it in one go so that you can see how it's answered in just like a one fluent like answer. So maybe Chanel, can you ask the question again? This time I'll just answer it directly.
All right, Ali. So, Ali, can you walk me through an experience of yours wherein you face a difficulty or a problem at your work? How did you handle it?
Okay, so thank you for that question, Chanel. So, last December 2020, I had a difficult time trying to fill all the requirements in just a span of 3 weeks. So, the things that I had to do was first, I had to make sure that all of my job boards are clean. So, I have to screen them every day. Second, I have to check all my LinkedIn connections and all the other job channel connections. I have to make sure that I reach out to sufficient number of candidates on a day-to-day basis so that I would meet my weekly targets. And then what I did was I followed all the steps that are necessary in order to meet my weekly goals. So that includes, of course, aside from just reactively screening candidates that come in. I also have to reach out to more candidates. I have to meet them during their free time. I have to schedule it, even if it's beyond my work hours, and just do adjustments accordingly. And then the difficult part also was that, of course, it's December. Not a lot of people are free on certain dates because they're also completing their deliverables by the end of the year. So I had to make sure that I factor that in when I'm scheduling them for interviews. So as a result of continued diligence and just persevering and just making sure that I'm focused on my tasks, I was able to fill all my roles by the end of December. So yeah, that's how I would answer that question. So
Wow, very good, Ali.
yeah,
You'll
so
be
you can
acing
hire me.
that interview.
Thank you. That's why I'm a recruiter at Filter now.
Yep.
So yeah, so guys, I know that took a while, but I hope you were able to learn from that sample exercise, and I hope you can also do that when you go to your interview. So don't just say very vague answers like, like last time, it was really difficult trying to finish all my tasks, but I was able to do it. So just that, like no details, no whatsoever. So we all get that. Like of course we do get our difficult task, and our job is really to successfully handle it. But you have to help your recruiter or help your interviewer understand as well, like what's the context of that situation. So yeah. And I think after answering that, maybe we can go on to the third tip by Chanel.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much, Ali. I know that our audience for today are taking notes of that. So I hope that everyone's taking note of what we are saying, because it will really help you big time, guys. So yep, for our last tip for you. So I believe that the other presenter already highlighted this, so I just want to maybe summarize this as well for all of you. So for our last tip for you, so showcase your best work. So I believe and I really hope that everyone here in this room knows this tip already. So okay, so this will be like highlighting your achievements, how you smashed that KPI, how your bosses commended your work, and how fast did you did that project. So before your interview, make sure that you prepare this professional achievements of yours, and then see it like this. So see it like that: the company is the buyer, and you, the candidate, is a seller. So what are you selling? So you are selling your passion, your talent, your craft, um yourself. So make sure that you really present yourself as something very valuable, very rare in the market. And if that company will not hire you, it's their loss. So see it that way. Be confident about your achievement, your work experiences, because in that way it will just be natural. Okay, so see it that way. Of course, if you're gonna present yourself like, this is my passion, this is my talent, this is my craft, of course you will making them believe, or you will be persuading that interviewer, that recruiters, that you are really something that they are looking for. So present what are the advantages if they're gonna be hiring you? What are your in compare with other candidates, why would they choose you? So it's actually not necessary to wait with your to wait with our interviewers or the recruiters to ask you why should we hire you. So set in your mind before your interview that you will be presenting, you will be highlighting these achievements of yours. So you will not be waiting for that magic question or word, why would be hiring you. So you should be ready highlighting this experience or this achievements of yours. And yep, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a wrap. So you are ready to make yourself stand out during the interviews, and I hope everyone learn a thing or two in regards to Ali and I's presentation. And I hope also that you will be practicing this in real time. So Ali,
Yes,
do you have
practice
any?
is key.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, I just remembered. I think in our previous Filta live sessions, we mentioned that during your interview, it's the only time you can be bragging about yourself. So
Yep.
don't need to be humble. You have to showcase your best works and your achievements. So that's the only actually reasonable time to to be a braggart. So
Yes, brag about yourself. Sell yourself.
Yep. Thank you, Chanel and Ali. So aside from this presentation, guys, we will be doing a discussion questions. So other than these tips, we can also do some additional tips for you guys. And after that, we'll have the audience ask about anything under the sun regarding interview preparation. So I'll be calling in all the recruiters from Filta so we can have this discussion question.
Wow.
Hi everyone.
Hello,
Amazing slides.
everyone.
Hey.
Okay. So, yep, before answering or waiting for our audience to ask questions, we'll be doing a discussion question also for ourselves. It's more of sharing your the experience you have with the candidates that you interviewed. So, my first question for you guys is, what is your stand? Because we are all working from home, right? And we cannot do face-to-face interviews, so we do video chats or video calls. So what is your stand for candidates who use cell phone or who has poor internet connection? Welcome to the Philippines. So what will be your suggestions? Who would like to answer? Raise your hands.
Oh,
Okay, Ali.
okay, so I know this is gonna be bad, but doing your interview on your mobile phone and having poor internet connection, even if it's not your fault, will reflect badly on you. The reason, hold on, there's a reason for that. The reason being is because when we schedule our interviews, we usually give ample time to for you to prepare. So if you feel that the interview is too urgent or is scheduled too closely to the or it's a super short notice, then you can just ask or respectfully ask your interviewer to move the interview on a later date. But if you didn't and you said that okay, I'll be there, then the assumption of the recruiter is that you're ready. So first, by being ready, you have to make sure that you're using the correct device and that you actually have good internet connection. So we don't want to take it against you that your internet is slow, but if there's a way for you to like prepare backup internet, then that also shows that you're someone who is resourceful and that you're someone who takes someone else's time well and respectfully. So yeah, that's just for me.
Thank you, Ali. That was very insightful. Yes, we have to be resourceful because we want someone who will work with our client, who has this mindset of finding solutions. I can do this. I have to make it to this interview, whatever happens, because I really want to be in this company and to work with this client. So maybe another question is that how about, for example, you win or you ace that interview? What is your take when it comes to government or the requirements itself that we ask for candidates? Should we prepare it like during the initial interview? Should we prepare it after the final interview? So, what will be your insights?
I
Who wants
love
to
that,
answer?
Cyrus.
Yes, Erica.
Yeah, I think as job hunter, aside from your CV or your portfolio, if you're a developer, digital marketer, or designer, this is also one of the most important things that should be prepared even prior to your application. You don't have to wait for the job offer stage. Personally, I have to share with everyone in my Google Drive. I have a folder there just for all my document requirements. So that anytime I get, when I was still applying, actively applying, so that anytime I get a job offer, it's ready to go anytime, any day of the week. So it's also we should also take every opportunity right now because a lot of the government facilities are offering online application for this substantial government IDs like SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, even the TIN. So let's take advantage of that. So again, like what you said earlier, Iris, just be resourceful. If we don't know the process, everything's available online. There's Facebook, there's Google. You have to go to their official website. If you're unemployed, then make the most out of your time to prepare your government mandated benefits. I mean, your government mandated requirements because it will help you expedite the onboarding process.
Thanks for that, Erica. Okay, so I think my next question will be, we all have this rock star candidate. On your own experience, what is who is your rock star candidate? You don't have to mention names. I just want to ask what will be the characteristic of a rock star candidate. So I will start first. This is my experience with a developer. He applied the internet connection is good. He's using his laptop. He has the mic on. I think he tested it before having the interview with me. You know, the best thing that he did, he presented me the websites that he made. So it's like I didn't ask, but he shared his screen and then discuss about the website and then the things that he has done on that website. And then after our discussion, the communications is very fluid. When recruiters ask for feedback or updates, it's very important for us that the candidates are very fast. For example, within 2 hours or 3 hours after the message, they should be able to respond to us because maybe or most of the time our client is also expecting a response or an update from the recruiter. So that is my rockstar candidate. How about you, Jeff?
Well, I'm happy you asked this question to me, Iris. Of course, everybody has their own story for a rockstar candidate, but from my end, just recently as well, I placed a candidate. She is doing a research analyst role, and one of the things that made her stand out was actually presenting a tool or providing a solution for a company. So, the company wasn't really familiar with this certain tool, and then she is using it on her current role. And when she presented it to the client, there was a technical exam for it, and she was required to fill in that test or to obviously to pass that test. And when she passed that test, my client asked, Jeff, could we have a call with your candidate and see and let her walk us through how she did the exam, how she used that tool that she mentioned that she used. So I gave the floor. I created a Zoom room. I gave the floor to my candidate, and she walked through. I mean, that truly was a rock star moment. And immediately right after that Zoom presentation, the client gets to me and Jeff, we want to invite her on board or have her on board for the team. So that's from my end.
Thank you, Jeff, for that wonderful insight about your candidate. How about you, Erica? Do you have any rockstar candidate that you can tell us about?
Yeah, lucky for me, I always encounter a lot of rockstar candidates. But one of the best, I mean, one of those who stood out is a candidate for a Shopify designer position. I consider him as one of the rockstar candidates because during his application stage, he was still employed and he was in a graveyard shift that time. So it was really difficult to, this guys, when you schedule candidates who are in graveyard shift, it's really a challenge to find the perfect time to schedule them that would, meet this availability of our client. So I was actually very impressed with this candidate because when I asked him, so what's your availability for a client interview? He was like, I was already expecting that. Oh, I'm only available during this hour, and his answer to me was anytime. I was like, okay, aren't you still working during graveyard shift? Yeah, but I'm willing to be interviewed anytime after my shift. I will stay awake. I will just drink a lot of coffee. Whatever time you need me to be there, I will be there. And it was true. Um, his shift ends at, if I'm not mistaken, around 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. And then he looked so sleepy and tired when I interviewed him. But when it was already time for him to talk to the client, he freshened up. He didn't look like he was he came from an 8 hour shift. His energy. I told him you have to be energetic, and he was very energetic. So he was following, he was taking in all the points that I gave him. So that really makes him a rock star candidate. He really prepared for the interview and he aced it.
Thank you for that, Erica. How about Ali? Do you have a rockstar candidate that you met?
I would say all of the candidates I've placed are rockstar candidates,
Yes.
but of course there are a few that really stand out. So what I consider as someone who's a rockstar candidate is someone who follows through with all of the requirements, because I think that's where the difference lies between just a regular candidate and someone who's really passionate. Because if someone wants the job that much, then you already get a sense of comfort as a recruiter that this person is going to cooperate with you. And I think that's one of the easiest way to close a job. Like if you know that this person is good, he has the right skills, he has the right attitude, the soft skills, everything looks good on paper, then the only thing that you have to look at is the attitude. So if this person, does this person respond to me quickly? Does this person finish the required technical assessments? Does this person follow the deadlines? Is this person communicative? So little things like that. It might be it might be like disregarded for some, but for me, that's one of the things that really make a candidate stand out. So yeah. So
Iris, I think you're on mute.
Oh, thank you for that. Anyway, how about Chanel or Sunshine?
All right. So for me, I definitely agree with all of you guys. Those who have mentioned are really rock star candidates. Maybe I will just be taking another route for this
Mhm.
question. So how about rock star candidate but they will not be like pursuing their application with us. So I believe a candidate can also be a rock star if they will be notifying us if they will not if they will not
That's right.
pursue their application, yes, and they're not like making us wait about their like if they're gonna be taking the final interview or if they're gonna be accepting our offer to them. So yeah, as you have mentioned, we have a lot of rockstar candidates, all good, good on paper, good on interviews, very responsive. So we recruiters as well also appreciate if you're gonna be honest, if you have other applications with other companies, we actually understand it, of course, and we also appreciate it when you will be informing us that you will not be pursuing your application with us. So it's definitely okay. So I believe and I know that my co-recruiters here will agree that it's of course it is one of the attitude of a rockstar candidate in
Yes,
whenever.
guys.
Yes, so yep, that's my takeaway in this
Thank
question.
Thank you,
Agree.
Chanel. That is a very good insight from the recruiters ourselves. Don't ghost us, guys. Just tell us if you cannot if you cannot continue your application, because as a recruiter, we already put effort on the interview and we sent you to our clients. It's very important to us to update our clients if you're not going to pursue or not. And of course, we wanted you to have uneducated decision. That's why we are providing you everything that you need to know before the interview. And speaking of that, maybe our discussion question will be, here in Filta, we do prepare our candidates for success because we want them to pass the interview. So maybe one of the question of those candidates is, okay, if I'm not applying for Filta for other company, what will be your suggestion in terms of preparing for an interview, like the interview prep that we're doing here? Maybe they can do it with their cousin, their siblings, but what are the things that they need to ask during this interview prep time?
Are you talking about questions to ask the
Mhm.
interviewer, Iris?
Can be, yes.
I guess one good question is to ask about their work culture or how their team works. So you also get to know, like, see if you're fit, if you can work well with them. Because it's not just the interviewer interviewing you. You should also interview the interviewer.
That's a good thing, Francis. Yes, guys, don't be afraid to ask questions, but please don't ask something that is already on the job description, because they will think that you didn't read the job description. So please ask, guys, the interviewers, at least three questions for the interviewers. So they will I mean the expectation should be set even during the interview.
Correct. And if I may add to
Okay.
that, Aris, I mean, with regards to preparing for an interview, it's always important to also assume the role. I mean, whenever the interview ends and then your employer or the interviewer gives you that floor, do you have any questions for us, or do you have a question for me? Always have a question, because that allows you to give an assumption that you are excited for the role as well, or you want to be in that position. So ask questions like, when should if I should be chosen, what do you expect of me? What can I contribute to the team? What part of my CV or my set of skills stand out in this interview, or how did I even do in this interview? Feel free to have that engagement so that your employer or your interviewer can really gauge that you want this role or you want that position.
That's right, Jeff. That's very good. Um, and guys, please put your question in the chat box. We will be taking a minute break for the recruiters to answer those questions. But we want to promote also the TikTok challenge that we have for developers. So tell me you are a developer without telling me you are a developer. So the grand prize, guys, is 2,000 pesos plus one filter t-shirt. And then the second prize will be 1,000 pesos plus one filter t-shirt. And there will be three prizes given out to those good videos, top three good videos that you will send us.
Right.
So there will be a video after this that will discuss more about that. So we'll just take 1 minute break. Don't forget, guys, to put on your questions on the chat box. Bye, guys.
All right,
See
see
you
you in a bit.
again after
See you later.
Hi everyone, I am Atsa Abed, the social media specialist of Delta, and I have a TikTok challenge for you. Hi everyone, I am Atsa Abed, the social media specialist of Delta, and I have a TikTok challenge for you. Tell me you are a developer without telling me you are a developer. There are only 4 easy steps for you to join. First, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe on our social media accounts here. Second, don't forget to tag us at filta.outsourcing here on TikTok. Third, make sure to use the hashtag filta at PHTechWeek2021. And fourth, you may start submitting and uploading your entries on May 17th. The winners will be announced on May 20th during Narita Show's event in PH Tech Week. What are you waiting for? If you want to win, here are the prizes. 3 winners will receive 500 pesos worth of GCash credit. The second place will receive 1,000 pesos and one Filter t-shirt. And the winner will receive 2,000 pesos and one Filter t-shirt. So what are you waiting for? You might be one of the lucky winners. Join our TikTok challenge now.
Oh, I was trying to do a TikTok entry.
Yes,
Oh no!
guys. Guys, submit your videos. That's only 30 seconds and you will win a good prize for that. So, guys, are you ready to answer some questions from our viewers or audience?
Yes, this is so exciting.
Okay, maybe Francis can pick some of the question, tell us about the question, and we'll answer it.
Alright, Iris. Let's see. Also, okay. First question we have is from Cesar. Does Filta provide work from home setup permanently? So anyone wants to answer that?
Mm-hmm. Anyone from the group? Mm-hmm.
Well, right now, we currently offer a lot of work from home position for some clients. They really do offer permanent work from home positions, which is great, and it's actually available nationwide. So
Yes.
it's not only available here in Metro Manila, but also in Visayas and Mindanao. So always double check the job description, specifically the details about the location, so that if you're from Cebu, Davao, Iloilo, even Baguio, if the location is Philippines under our job descriptions, it means that you can work from home anywhere in the Philippines as long as there's Wi-Fi signal.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Erica, and thank you, Cesar, for your question.
All right, can I read this one? It's from Sunny. With regards to during the interview is the time to show off. How do we do this if we have imposter syndrome, whether we are aware of it or not? Again, let me read that again properly. With regards to during the interview is the time to show off. How do we do this if we have imposter syndrome, whether we are aware of it or not?
Okay. For me, I think my opinion on that one is you can tell about, for example, with recruiters like us, you can tell us about the numbers, percentage that you're able to achieve or your achievements during your employment, because numbers don't lie. And for us recruiters, it's very important that we will see on your resume or you tell us about a certain achievement, but of course that should be also specific. So for example, for me, okay, I was able to hit 100% of something of my KPI last April. So that's a good answer to good thing to brag, because that is true and that is metered or have this percentage.
Correct. And Yeah, so may I have the floor to answer the question? Okay, so guys, when we talk about imposter syndrome, it's an internal thing going on with you, right? So first, do you really believe that you're that good to have an imposter syndrome joke? But if you do, then okay, that's great. That's actually a great problem to have. But yeah, so that brings me to my agreement with Iris' answers. Numbers don't lie. So when you talk about your achievements, you're not really bragging about you as a person. Like, I'm really good, I'm like super good, like I'm competent in what I do and all of that, because you have background, like you have evidence to prove that that you're good. So you can tell them about your KPIs, about your specific achievements at work. And more so, like when you're answering interview questions, it's not like you're pulling ideas out of the air and just simply bragging about you as a person. Of course, that's not what you do. That's not the kind of bragging that we want you to do during your interviews, just so you can impress your interviewers, right? So, what you need to do during the interview is that you're going to relate your own experiences as you've experienced it from your last job, and that's what you're going to tell your interviewer. So you're not projecting a different sense of self, or like you're not projecting another person, you're projecting your own experience to the other person. So I hope that clears up the problem, and I hope that if ever you are encountering an imposter syndrome, then well, good for you.
Thank you so much, Ali, for that one.
Um,
Anyway,
add to, if I
mhm.
may piggyback Ali, I think there's also a thin line. Probably that's one of the challenges of us Filipinos in general when it comes to showcasing or highlighting our achievements, is that some of our applicants do not know that there's a very thin line between being cocky and being confident. It's a matter of how you deliver it, your tone, your body language. So, for example, you're giving highlights on your KPIs or your achievements, and you do like, you know what, in my past company, I was doing this and that. Definitely, you would really look like a very cocky, like an overconfident candidate. But if you would if you would be presenting yourself, like straight body, eye contact. In my past work experience, this is what I did. It benefited the company by giving ROI like this and that. There's a huge difference, right? But it's just a matter of the way you delivered it, your body language. It makes all the difference actually. So maybe just be conscious of your body language and your tone, your way of delivering it, and your choices of words, of course.
Thank you for that, Erica. How about Chanel? Do you want to answer anyone from the chat box?
Yep. Okay. I'm seeing question from Mariel. So she asked, "Is it necessary that I speak in straight English even if the interviewer can speak local language?" So for me, it actually depends on the company. If it's a local company or an international company or with an international client, and of course basing on the recruiter or the interviewer as well. So as a recruiter, this is also a tip. If your recruiter or if your interviewer speaks straight English, it means that it is a cue that you should that the interviewer also expects you to communicate with English as well. But if ever there are some companies as well, so as I've mentioned, it definitely depends on the company and the recruiter. So there are more local companies as well. It is definitely okay to speak our local language, to speak Filipino, especially when the recruiter is speaking with you in Tagalog, in Filipino. It is a cue that you can also speak our language. It is a cue that you can confidently speak our own language or English. It will not be a problem. So just a tip that if your recruiter really speaks in straight English with you, so it's a tip that you will also be presenting your good English communication with that recruiter. So that's for me.
Thank you, Chanel. Yes, guys.
Question.
Yes, yes, Francis.
So, Chanel, what do you do? Let's say that you're speaking straight English, but the candidate is still speaking in Tagalog. What do you do?
All right. So for that, with my experience, I will be trying to, say if this candidate can speak with me in English, because if ever we will be having clients that is based in Australia, US, Canada, so it is very important to us if they can communicate well in English, so that they can also understand their clients, their bosses as well. But if ever that the candidate will be saying that he is very nervous, or he can really like express himself in English, okay, no worries on that. I will just it is definitely understood, but the tip before your interview, as I've mentioned in my presentation, know your company, know the client, know your role. So it's very important.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you
Chanel.
for that, Chanel. I think I want to answer this because I experienced this. The question of Sunny. Most of my work is under NDA. My question is it negative to you as an interviewer that I can be detailed about my previous work? I think one this happened to me to one of my developer because he signed an NDA. I think aside from the work that you had with your current company, you also have to showcase other work outside of the company. Because remember, as a developer, it's very important for us recruiters that you are passionate with coding or programming. There's a lot of developers who has this NDA contract with their company, but was able to answer us precisely, especially when it comes to their works, their personal projects that they have made, or if you're a freelancer, if you have those projects that doesn't have that NDA, you can also tell that to your client. And of course, you also have to tell the recruiter that I have an NDA, I cannot discuss that experience with you. But wait, I have another experience that I can tell you that I can showcase. So I think that's it for me. Do you have any addition to this, guys?
None
Good.
for me. All you're all good, Darius.
All right. Thank you, guys. Um, any other question that you want to answer? We have here from Jerwin. How about questions relating to salary? Is the applicant allowed to ask those?
Yes, of course, you are allowed to ask those. But be mindful though that when you're asking about salary, it's okay. I think there's a general misconception about clients or like candidates asking about salary during their interviews. So on your first time that you meet the interviewer or the recruiter, like for example us, like for the first time you meet me or any of the persons on your screen right now, then you can ask us about the salary. You can ask us, hey, what's the salary range for this? Because I think that's also going to be helpful so that you can already know that this is not for me, or like the salary is too low for me. I'm not going to proceed anymore. So it's going to save both of our time. But be mindful that when you're getting into the client interview, salary expectation is or yeah, discussion about salary is not a question anymore. The reason being again is because once we made an endorsement to our clients, then we already informed them about your salary expectation, and we've already set the expectation that this is the salary that you desire. So it's gonna be a little bit off that you have to go through a negotiation with them when the purpose of the client interview is for them to get to know your skills and all the other stuff. So if you have questions about salary, then I think it's best to direct it to your recruiter instead of the client directly. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Ali. I think we have
If
another.
I,
Yes. Mhm.
yeah,
Yes, Erica.
and Ali, if I may add about the questions for the salary, if you are really focused on just one job, it's okay for you to be upfront with the recruiter. Like, I respect you. I respect your time. This is my expected salary. I hope you can tell me if it's within below or above your range. But there is also you also have to take into consideration that, like for example, for Philtop, every week almost we have new jobs posted on our website. So if, for example, a certain position does not meet your expected salary, I suggest that you still continue with your interview. Why? It's not a waste of your time. Because if you have that very good interview and you made a very good connection with your recruiter, once there is a new job opportunity that is now within the expected salary of yours, then that recruiter, and I am telling you this is 100%, will always remember you, will automatically think of you when there's a new job available that is already within your range. So I suggest during the interview, if the recruiter tells you, oh, I'm sorry, your expected salary is not within our range, you tell them, that's all right, but can you please keep me in your pool so that next time when you have an opportunity that meets my salary expectations, can you please contact me? We love that. We really do. So don't be shy to be upfront and honest with your salary expectations.
Thank you for that, Erica. That was insightful. We have another one. I think we have time for one or two questions from our audience. Let's talk about from Vince Mark, how would you insert or expound extracurricular activities for fresh grads, volunteer work, interest, and hobbies?
If I may take this one, Aris, I believe when it comes to a role that you're applying for, maybe an individual contributor or working with a team, you can definitely highlight your extracurricular activities. Let's say you were part of a varsity team in college, or you were a captain of a team. You were assigned as a rookie for that organization. You took lead on that, because that always will highlight your experience, how you work with your teammates, how you work with your organization. You can always highlight that. And again, it all connects to you researching about the role and about the company. So if you find out that that company has a team in a big corporation or big corporate tournament, let's say you have a company sports fest, or they have a CRM program that supports a certain foundation. So all of those details that you can connect yourself into will resonate as a part of your way to stand out as a candidate. And if I may, like, you can also definitely, when you highlight extracurricular activities, it shows discipline. I mean, not just on a CV standpoint or on a resume standpoint, it shows your level of a commitment to join or to be a part of an organization, because there's always a level of discipline whenever you are part of these organizations, may it be a team, may it be sports, may it be in a book club or a film club. All of these organizations have a certain level of discipline, and that would highlight your commitment, not just to that organization, but to the organization that you will be applying to. Yep.
Okay, thank you for that, Jeff. Remember, guys, that we recruiters wanted an answer that is in a star format: situation, task, action, and result. So definitely, if you're active in school, if you are really passionate about the things that you're doing, you can answer that star, even if you are a fresh graduate.
Yeah, I read
Okay.
some, yes.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give you it. This is actually very applicable for designers because as designers, when we see that, for example, in your summary section for your CV, you include that you're into painting or into sketching, sculpture, it really says a lot about your passion in design. And not only, it backs up the idea that you're not only doing it because you have to, because it's your profession, but because you're really passionate about it. So for all the designers out there, it's plus points if you would include that in your summary section or in any section that's about your hobbies and interests.
Thank you very much, Erica, for that one.
Yes,
Yes,
well,
Chanel.
I have an addition to that. So you can because I will be speaking in behalf of fresh graduates or those who have don't have any experience yet but want to be part of some the organization or the company that they are eyeing for. So they can also present how they presented their theses. Of course, that's the highlight of college days. Your thesis. If you're not really into like college organization, you can be highlighting your thesis, and of course your on OJT, your on the job training as well, your experiences on that as well, because it will be it will be giving the interviewer a highlight of how you do your work, of course, in that in your practicum. And if you're really that college student that you're just really introverted, you're not really into orgs, so it's this is how my number one tip in Ali and I's presentation, that in making yourself stand out is really just like expressing your interest for the role, that this is your passion, that is even if you don't have any experience, this is the things that I really want to pursue, this is the things that I really want to be in the future. After 5 years, I'm seeing myself in your company growing. So yeah, it's basically how you really present yourself, even if you don't have really that amount of extracurriculars during your college days. Yep.
Thank you, Chanel, for that addition. Anyway, I think Francis or I can answer this from Cesar. Which do you prefer, skills or length of experience for software engineer or web developer?
I think a balance of both is important. So let's say for a certain skill, you should also showcase how long you've been using it.
Okay. I think I agree to that, Francis, because I think we have a couple of developers who has this lengthy experience, but when it comes to coding test, they fail the coding test. However, there are those that has 1, 2 years of experience, but they're very good and was able to, ace the coding test. So it's a bit of both. But of course, it's important for us that the skills you gain from that experience is something that you can contribute to our client or to Filta itself. Thank you for that question, Cesar. Anyway, guys, we will take a break by 4:30, and we'll be welcoming our CEO, Efren Shaw. Guys, if you do have questions, anything under the sun for our CEO, please throw it in the chat box. And of course, guys, I really want to promote, guys, our TikTok challenge. Tell me you are a developer without telling me you are a developer. That will be a 30-second or 1 minute video. The grand prize will be 2,000 pesos plus one filter t-shirt. Second prize, 1,000 pesos plus one filter t-shirt. And there will be 3 consolation prize, 500 pesos GCash. So guys, what are you waiting for? That is only 30 minutes or, I'm sorry, 30 seconds or 1 minute of your time. The winners will be announced during Nerissa Shaw presentation on Thursday. So don't forget, guys, to tag us on Filta, on Facebook. And of course, guys, don't also forget to like our page in Facebook and LinkedIn. We have a page on TikTok. We are also a member of TikTok. We are all over the social media, guys. So don't forget to like us. And if you want to hear more about Quilta, we are also doing lives every Thursday and Friday of the week to tell you more about developers, tips, and tricks for developers and also for digital and creatives applicants. So um, anything you want to discuss, guys, or add some insights for to help our viewers or future candidates?
Speaking of live, so we have another one this coming Friday. So one of our guests will talk about low code front end development. So that's this coming Friday, 6 p.m. on Facebook.
Yes, guys. And guys, we have a lot of roles. 30, right, guys? 30 open roles for Filta. So just send your resume. We have a careers page, or you can also view our Filta page for you to to see who is Filta, what is Filta, and you can ask anything around the sun to us. So we'll be playing this video, and after that, we'll be welcoming our CEO in Filta to discuss more about the things that Western clients are looking for when it comes to developers, creatives, or even admin or executive assistant role. Anything you want to promote, guys? Any positions that is urgent for you? You can tell this audience about it if maybe they know someone.
Yep. Me, I would like to advertise my open role. So if you're interested, or if you have anyone that you know, your colleagues, ex-colleagues, or your friends, family, I am on the look for two executive assistants to work with our clients in Australia. I'm also looking for SEO, content writers as well, and a digital marketing specialist. So if you know someone, or if you are interested, just let us know. Just comment in the chat box. We will be communicating with you, and you can also send your updated CV or resume at careers@filtaglobal.com.
Thank you for that, Chanel. Thank you for giving our link to our careers page. Anyways, guys, we also have front-end developers opening. We also have technical support. We also have the senior React JS developer opening. So if you know someone, you can refer them to us. We also have this back-end developer who needs an experience with Python, or full stack developer who has experience in React JS, Python, and Django. So anything else you guys want to announce?
Yeah, for me, Iris, we have lots of amazing opportunities for the design and creatives department. For one, we have a junior and senior graphic designer opening for one of Australia's leading advertising agency. So if you have worked for a local or international advertising agency, send your resume. I'm also in the lookout for talented CGI designers, or it's also known as 3D effects artist. So if you're highly skilled when it comes to using Maya or After Effects, send your resume. You're the right candidate that I'm looking for. And of course, if you also have years of experience in video editing, we also have an urgent opening for a video editor position for a leading US advertising agency. So yeah, just send your resumes, and we're very excited to see your applications. Thanks, Iris.
Thank you for that, Erica. So we'll take a 1 minute break to show our TikTok challenge video. And then after that, we'll be welcoming our CEO, Efren Shaw. Guys, if you do have questions, it's your time to shine, time to ask or put it on our comment box. So see you guys again later. Bye.
Bye.
Hi everyone, I am Atsa Abe, the social media specialist of Filta, and I have a TikTok challenge for you. Tell me you are a developer without telling me you are a developer. There are only 4 easy steps for you to join. First, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe on our social media accounts here. Second, don't forget to tag us at filta.outsourcing here on TikTok. Third, make sure to use the hashtag filta@PHTechWeek2021. And fourth, you may start submitting and uploading your entries on May 17th. The winners will be announced on May 20th during Narita Show's event in PH Tech Week. What are you waiting for? If you want to win, here are the prizes. 3 winners will receive 500 pesos worth of GCash credit. The second place will receive 1,000 pesos and 1 Filta t-shirt. And the winner will receive 2,000 pesos and 1 Filta t-shirt. So what are you waiting for? You might be one of the lucky winners. Join our TikTok challenge now.
Hello, guys. Welcome again. Hi, Efren. How
Hello.
are you?
Good,
How's
yourself?
Yep, all good, all good.
We're missing someone here. Oh, Francis is back. How is everyone? Thank you so much for the good information that's coming out tonight. Really enjoying it.
Thank you, Efren. So we're all good. We're able to discuss the tips and tricks how to present yourself in an international level. So I think you can also help us on these things because you are yourself is an international client. So can you help us more to discuss more about this topic?
Of course. I think maybe the best place to start is if you guys want to pepper me with questions for the next half an hour, and I'll answer anything that the viewers have or that you guys have, if you want to do a public performance appraisal, happy to do that as well. This is now an AMA for anyone who has any questions about employment in the Philippines to Western companies, because I think that's now a big thing, especially with COVID speeding things up, right? COVID has really, so just to give you guys a little bit of additional insight, I think when we look at Western companies, one of the things that has been very traditional up until last year has been the concept of people working from an office. And I think the Philippines has been very similar as well, right? Like our office was very, everyone worked in the office, and the idea of people working from home was still a little bit foreign or a bit untested. I think the beauty of COVID has been that COVID has kind of turbocharged the whole concept of work from home. And where we thought things may not have worked out for different reasons, we've seen, and Philippines is a good example from an infrastructure point of view. You know, we've got a whole country that's in, well, a whole population of 10 million people in a city in lockdown, yet the infrastructure and internet have held on really well for the better part of 15 months. So what that means from a from an employment point of view and growth of an organization point of view is, I think the global village has just got a lot smaller. And this has meant that organizations and businesses can now look at their structure internally and say, okay, well, if we don't need people in an office in downtown Brisbane or Sydney or London or Los Angeles or wherever, we can get talent anywhere on earth. So then that's what we've seen over the last 12 months, a real spike in the demand for overseas talent and talent in places like the Philippines, where culturally there's a massive alignment to a lot of Western cultures as well. So now's a really good time for Filipinos to really sell themselves well, be able to target Western companies and build an international body of work that will either give them the opportunity to continue working on international clients from the Philippines, or when we get to the back end of this, it almost can create a gateway for looking at overseas adventure and overseas roles, because you have international experience already. So it's a really interesting time. I think that on top of that, we're seeing the advent of smaller companies looking at acquiring talent from places like Philippines. So what was once the domain of, you know, IBM and large corporates, now small to medium enterprises can do that, engage people very easily, build a global working culture. And technology allows us to do things like this, right? Like we can interact and learn off each other and grow off each other, which is really exciting for the Philippine tech community and technology as a whole. So sorry, as you can tell, I'll have a bit of a chat where required. So,
Thank you for that.
it gives you guys a bit of a breather. But fire away questions. Who's got some questions?
Well, is it? Go ahead, Eric.
Sorry. No, I just want to say that is true, because there's like a dramatic growth of BPO companies here in the Philippines, small or big BPO companies. So they're recruiting Filipinos instead of other countries, and it opens a lot of opportunities for us, not just to know the technology internationally, but to work with different clients across the world. So my question will be, as you know, Philippines is a little bit behind technology, and other countries is more advanced than us. So how can, for a developer, how can they position themselves, or how will they know that they will look senior or in a senior level for other Western clients?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'll give you my interpretation of that. But if you want to hear from more people. On Wednesday at 3 p.m., I'll be doing a panel with a couple of our clients, just to put in a quick plug there. But I think the beauty of modern day technology is that it gets released at the same time in all parts of the world. So if we have a look at a technology like React, right? React is a 3-year-old technology, but everywhere has React. So there's no real delineation between, the concept of technology being behind in some parts of the world against others is kind of not really that big a thing anymore. I think what is more important when differentiating yourself as let's say a mid-level developer from what is a mid-level developer around the world is some of the softer skills and some of the skills that may not be as natural in that market, but are probably more natural in this market. So I'll give you an example. When we look at a developer in a Western company, they will typically have an all-round skill that requires them to do a bit of planning, a bit of architecture, a bit of development, a bit of QA, and kind of while the basis of their whole role is predominantly development, they're kind of tacking on different other bits and pieces. Now, I think one of the things that has happened because of the advent of BPO is that role gets broken down into 5 or 6 different parts in the Philippines, right? So then you have one person that just does this, and then another person does architecture, and then one person just does developing, and then the work then goes just to the QA person. And the problem becomes that when you have a mid-level developer in that sort of environment, they don't do any of the other stuff. Like, they just develop and pass it through. Now, that little kind of 5 or 10% is what then creates a difference between what a mid is in another country versus what a mid is in the Philippines. So it's then kind of being able to understand, for a developer in the Philippines to understand that you almost have to be, or like if you're going to be a mid-level developer, you also have to be, to a degree, a mid-level QA and a mid-level architect, and kind of bundling that all together. Same applies for graphic design as an example. Like, there are certain facets that kind of really just become very finite, and the goal in international work is then to be able to broaden your perspective and be able to say, I'm not going to just do that role. It's kind of taking on more challenges. So I think one of the things that's very hard to do, one of the things that's very easy to do is just look at how you compare against your local market, right? So a mid-level developer says, okay, I'm mid because my friends are mids and they get X amount, so therefore I should get X amount. But if you think about it on a larger scale, we are actually, that mid is now competing in a global village, right? So they're competing with a mid in Australia. They're competing against a mid in the Ukraine. They're competing against a mid in South Africa. And what are the different pluses and minuses? Now, the beauty of the Philippines is there's a lot going for the Philippines. Like, from a cultural perspective, it aligns extremely well with Western culture and Western sensibilities. Communication skill, it's the 3rd largest English-speaking country on earth. From a population perspective, we're talking about 110 million people across the country. The education system is as good as anyone else, and we see constantly that the universities like the UPs and USTs and etc. climbing up the ranks of global universities. So from a work perspective, the Philippines does set itself in a very good position. That's why the BPO industry is so big in the Philippines. But then I think now is the time that developers should not rest on their laurels and rest on what the local market tells them, and start thinking globally. So start thinking, what do I have to be world class? Like what, all the information is accessible to everyone nowadays. That's the beauty of the internet, right? If you want to learn React, you can just jump online and learn React. I think it's really about what is that extra 5 or 10% that moves me away from being a good developer to being a great developer. And then I think without getting too existential, then the discussion really revolves around, is that something you really want to do, right? Because one of the things I find, and I've always found this, is it was a question earlier, I remember someone asking, does experience count for, what was it, Francis? I know you answered it. Does experience count for more than enthusiasm or knowledge or something like that? I can't remember what it was. But, you know, we are moving now into a time where you have something like React that's only 3 years old. So how can someone be a expert at React if the technology is only 3 years old, right? Mm-hmm. You have to sell what you are capable of doing by yourself rather than what you're capable of, what you can do now. And a lot of that is just through passion, extracurricular, like it's not what you say, it's what you do. So things like, I know we covered it before, having GitHub accounts and bodies of work. And even if, I know someone wrote earlier about, what about if your work's under NDA? Build something, you know, like we talk a lot about Shopify in our business, right? It's free to go and build a Shopify website on the Shopify platform. It's free to register on Shopify, it's free to learn about it, and it's free to build sites. So everything's accessible to you. The top 1 to 2% will reach out and grab it and take it. And that's, if you want to be world class, that's what differentiates the good from great. Does that answer your question, Iris?
Yes, it's very clear and insightful. Thank you for that, Efren.
Can I add something? I'll just add on to something else that you said earlier that I wanted to expand on, because I think it's a very valid point as well. You mentioned earlier about BPOs and the BPO sector really taking off and a lot more BPOs. And I think there is a misconception, or maybe not a misconception, it's probably a real good conception of what the BPO industry is about based on historical events and how it's affected different people at different times, and this sense of BPOs, are very much like a modern day technology factory, and job security is not really there, and different bits and pieces, and it's not. I've heard it when recruiting in the Philippines a lot that it's a BPO. I think a lot has changed in the last 5 years, in particular around how BPOs operate and different BPOs. And I think for anyone who's interviewing with a BPO, I think I would be giving them the suggestion and tip to really understand what sort of interaction and what value they're going to add to you. Because ultimately, a lot of times, not just us, but many of them are very much focused around the client having more interaction with the staff and developing staff and integrating those staff into their businesses. And now a lot of companies that are going to the Philippines are very employee focused and looking to grow global teams rather than the old adage of throwing work into the internet and hope the work comes back finished by someone whose name you don't know. So the discussion, so now I think for anyone who's looking at it, you can actually be very selective and ask more questions about the employer and the employer culture, and what are you going to get out of that from your career journey? How does that set you up over the next 5 years? And it doesn't need to be technical. It can be just learning how to think strategically, how to work in a global team, how to understand different cultures. I think that's a really important distinction to make as well. So I just wanted to add that nowadays it's not a one-size-fits-all, and anyone who's interviewing with different BPOs is more than welcome to ask more questions and delve deeper. I see that there's a question here. I'm just going to keep rolling, Iris, if that's okay.
That's okay.
What do Western clients look for in a digital designer? That's a really good question, and I think that's one of those questions that again goes to that 1 or 2%, right? Design is a really tricky one because it's very subjective. Like we look at development, and a lot of that is, you know, ones and zeros, right? Like someone who is building websites in Vue.js is going to be doing Vue.js in Sydney or in London in exactly the same way, or more or less the same way. There's no real difference. But with designers, it's different because it's subjective, and there's a lot of different kind of bits and pieces to it. So I think the main thing that Western clients look for when we look at digital designers is going to be understanding basic concepts of design, right? And that is like understanding why the colors are selected like they are, why the shapes are selected why they are, why they have made the design choices that they've made. Like sometimes the design is shit just because the brief is shit. It's not the designer's fault, right? It's just that the brief that they've got is rubbish. And but if they can clearly articulate that, and they can clearly articulate, okay, this was the brief, it's not what I would have done, but it was the brief nonetheless, and this is what I delivered on, that I think that goes a long way. I think it's really understanding the market that you're playing for, right? If you want to be someone who wants to work in an international market, quite frankly, the US design style and the Australian design style and the UK design style are not that dissimilar, right? So knowing that, and knowing kind of like, again, this information is so readily available on the internet, it takes 5 minutes of looking, you can kind of have an idea of what it looks like and adapt. And the beauty of graphic design as well is it doesn't take forever to build a you know, through XD or Figma or Sketch. A designer can build a concept of a website very quickly without having to build a website itself. So that makes it easier for a graphic designer to say, okay, even if my work's under NDA, or all I've been doing is restaurant menus and, you know, that sort of stuff for the last 3 years, they can quickly do a couple of mock-ups and say, okay, this is, if I got this brief, this is what I would build. And then I would say being very precise. Like I think Western, so on that same thought, Western kind of sensibilities on design, but then also attention to detail. And that goes for all the roles, right? One of the things that I do not like seeing when I look at design CVs, and Erica will be the first to tell you this, is as soon as I see the smallest thing out of place, it's like, and you know, the expectation is if you're a graphic designer, one of the first things you see on a graphic design PD is a high attention to detail. So high attention to detail, understanding, and just passion for learning, passion for seeing what other markets are doing and trying to replicate it. Yeah, that's what I would say for a digital designer. And one last thing, it's a bugbear of mine, just to kind of put a full stop on it, is the shadows. If you're going to do shadows, make sure they're consistent across all the things that you're doing. It's so freaky how many times I see a design portfolio come in where one shadow is going one way and the other's the other way. One's dark, one's light. It's crazy. Hope that answers that question. Anything else?
Thank you, Efren. I think that is very insightful and a lot of information, and this will help a lot of people listening to us right now. But I also want you to invite them for another talk that we will be doing.
Yes, we will be. I just saw Archer sensing. Oh, a couple more. Oh, whoa, here comes some questions. Let me put my plug in first, and then I'll get to these questions. So
Okay.
Wednesday, 3 p.m. I don't know where the link is, but I will be with 4 of our clients that are global companies: MindArc, Creator, Akendo, and Anzen, all in the Shopify space, all really well known in that space globally. We've got owners, general managers, business leaders of those businesses sitting down with me, talking about world-class talent in the Philippines and how to differentiate yourself with world-class talent. It's going to be a really great session because I do want to talk about things that a lot of people don't think about, which is who you're really competing against and what the differences between your market and other markets is, and how to put your best foot forward. So that's going to be a really good session. If you thought I could talk, wait till you see some of these guys. They can definitely talk. So Wednesday, 3 p.m. I think the link will be on the Tech Week website. I'm just going to fly through these because I can see the time's running out. So Vince, I do not have experience developing React.js in the real world, but I've built personal projects in React.js. Can this be included in the experience? 100% yes. If it's good work, it doesn't matter if it's personal or real life experience. I think the main thing I would say, Vince, is be very clear. 2 things I would say. Firstly, be very precise. If you're doing personal work, right, you have no time constraints. You got no project budget. So be extremely precise in what you're doing. Secondly, is have a backstory for the work. So treat it like a real life project where you have a set brief. Even if you make up the brief at the beginning, stick with that brief and see it through like a project and showcase it like a project. It's 100% okay to say, this is a personal project. Some of the best work we've seen has been personal projects. And I hire someone on a personal project alone if it is world-class, if it is pixel perfect, and it makes good sense. Janeth, is your company opening a job for UX UI designer? Erica, are we opening?
At the moment, it's not a priority because we're hiring for CGI designer, video editor, and senior graphic designer. But if they are interested to send their application, they're more than welcome to send their application so we could keep them in the pool for opportunities in the future.
Perfect, thank you. So Janet, send it to careers@filterglobal.com or Erica, ERIKA @filterglobal.com, and we'll see what we can do for you. Tristan, any suggestions for career shifter non-tech who wants to be a developer in Western country? Tristan, my tip would be absorb as much information as you can and apply it as often as you can in whatever spare time you have. I think a career shifter non-tech going into developing is one of those things that what you do next will prove whether you want to be a developer or not. I've heard this story a lot of people saying, I want to be a developer, but then they don't do anything about it. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you are a guy with 20 years development experience or a guy or a girl who has 20 days experience. If you have the passion and drive and determination and you're willing to make mistakes and you're willing to keep moving forward, then the 20-day person will trump the 20-year person 9 times out of 10 for me, right? So there is, as I was mentioning before, there's a wealth of information you can do. There's a wealth of boot camps, and we do work with the Avion School that have a really fantastic boot camp for career shifters. But all of that is what you put in is what you get out, and you can do whatever you want to do if you really want it. So my suggestion is if you really want it, just do whatever it takes. And if you don't, that's cool too. That's not a problem. It probably just means you don't really want it. Archer, how can webinar certs help fresh grad developers with their CV? I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that, because I don't think it does, to be honest, even though we give them out like candy at Filter. I think it's more the application of what you learned in those webinars. Like, if you are going to a webinar just to get a portfolio of certs, you're probably thinking about things the wrong way. If you're going to a webinar to learn about something you're passionate about, and then getting that information and you know, taking that information, getting off the webinar, jumping straight on your computer and trialing it. Like, I know Archer did a webinar on Figma a little while back, and you know, I watched that and I thought, oh wow, that's really interesting. I'm going to go and download Figma and have a look at it, because I hadn't used Figma before. I think if someone does that sort of thing, that shows that they're passionate about it. So I think it's more about how they absorb the information from those webinars. That's more important. I'm sure there's someone out there that would hire a bunch of people if they've got a heap of certs, but I think the challenge becomes that currency only runs out very quickly, and then you just get found out that you probably can't do the job. So yeah, that's my suggestion on that. Is there any more questions here? No, I'm all out of questions.
All right. Thank you, Efren, for those information. Anyway, guys, again, thank you for joining us for our PH Tech Week session this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed and, you know, take a lot of information about this session. And of course, don't forget to like us in LinkedIn, Facebook, follow us on TikTok. We have a lot of things to give to you guys, some informations. And of course, if you like this session, we also have this Facebook Live every Thursday and Friday to keep you informed about the latest updates with regards to developers and digital and creative, and of course, admin and executive assistant roles. So that's it. Thank you again, guys.
And Narissa's on the main stage tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're doing the Pocket event with the clients on Wednesday, 3 p.m. And we've got Narissa back on the main stage on Thursday at, I can't remember what time, I think it's like 5:30. The guys will be kicking around all week in PH Tech Week in different bits and pieces. So feel free to reach out to any of these guys. I think well done to everyone tonight. You guys did a fantastic job with this. It was a very informative session. Thank you everyone for attending. Really appreciate it too.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.